Good morning, ladies. Or actually, it's after lunch, so hello. So in today's mini training, I want to talk about all things goals. So I have written some intelligent notes today. So I want to talk about the biggest mistake that business owners make when it comes to setting goals. I want to talk about why goals are so important for your business. I want to talk about what else you need in addition to your goal to make sure that that actually happens. And then I want to talk about how you can set goals that actually move your business forward rather than just keeping you in the same place. So like I said in the post the other day, I'm going to try to do the live sessions on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Mondays is going to be focused around mindset. Wednesdays is going to be to do with business strategy. And then Fridays is all things tech and systems. So yesterday was a bank holiday in the UK, hence why I'm doing yesterday's video today. And this is in addition to my post in the group where I talked about my Q3 that I reviewed and what I plan for Q4 and asked everyone to share what their goals are for the next quarter, which is the last quarter of 2018, which seems absolutely insane. So let me just get my phone and bring the group up so I can see if anyone has any questions. Any thoughts, questions, as always, put a comment below and then I'll reply to it either while we're still live or if you're watching the replay, I'll reply to it afterwards. So I'll leave that one there. So let's get started with the mini training. So the first point that I want to go over is the kind of mistakes that we make an awful lot when it comes to setting goals. And the biggest one out of all of them is that you don't set a goal because you're scared of what's going to happen if you don't achieve that goal. Okay, so this is something that realistically happens at some point in time. You set a goal and you don't quite achieve it. It's happened to me last quarter. I shared a little bit in my post the other day, but I'm going to share a little bit more at the end of the tips that I'm giving today, just so that you can see there isn't really anything wrong with you setting goals and not achieving all of them in the way that you want to. It's just what happens sometimes. It's still better to set a goal and aim high and not achieve it than it is to not set any goal at all. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The second mistake that I see a lot is that the goals that are being set are not realistic. So that is actually the thing that I fell foul of quite badly. So like I said, I'll share the details, but basically sometimes we set goals that are so ambitious that actually if you had realistically assessed the situation, you might have noticed that you're not very likely to achieve that goal because of the time that you have available, because of your schedule, because of other things that need your priority at that point in the year. So if you had really high goals set for Q3 and then the summer holidays hit and you haven't quite gotten to where you want to get to, that's okay. It would happen to all of us. So it's just sometimes we don't factor these things in as much as we need to. Sometimes people don't set goals that are just not challenging because they're scared that they might not achieve their goal. They'd rather go super low and they set a really conservative goal and then they look at their goal and they go, well, I still have 3 months to only make like 500. So I don't really need to do any sales today because, it's okay. I haven't got any appointments for 2 months because, so we make then excuses as to why it's okay to not really aim high because our goal isn't that high in the first place. So actually it doesn't help you at all to move your business to the next level because your goal is absolutely not challenging and you're kind of then taking it super easy and you might then still not actually make that goal because you've just been taking it super easy on that front. It's not been a priority for you. You have loads of time to achieve that and then the procrastination kind of sets in. So and then the last reason for why people don't usually achieve their goals is that the goal was actually super wishy-washy. So that's one of the things we'll talk about when it comes to how you actually set goals. But if you set a goal that simply is make money in your business, what happens is that might mean that somebody gives you £10 and pays you for something and then you've made money in your business, goal achieved, right? So having a wishy-washy goal just means that highly likely you're not going to be knowing where you need to head to, where you need to take action. Okay, so those are kind of the biggest mistake that I see over and over again. Now, why? So let's talk about why it's so important to set goals. So your goal for your business is realistically your guide. So when I see these people pop up in Facebook groups every day that say, I have a business, I need to get clients, but I don't really know any of what I need to be doing. I wake up every day and I have no idea what I need to do today to move my business forward. It's usually because they have got a super loosely worded goal, or they haven't got any. They just get up every day and they kind of try and do something to work on their business. So I was thinking of things that I could compare this whole goal thing to, and I actually watched Pirates of the Caribbean on TV at the weekend. And as I was watching that movie, I thought, you know what, actually, this is kind of what it's like. So, they have this little compass, and the compass always finds the black pearl. The black pearl, as the ship, is like the goal that they're looking for. And the compass intuitively knows, regardless of where that ship is, which way it needs to turn. So what happens if that ship wasn't around? The compass would be spinning in circles. It would be going round and round and round in a circle, not progressing in any direction, and the ship would just be driving in circles because they have removed the goal from the actual, from the actual pathway almost. So basically, if you don't have a goal in your business, what happens is you wake up every day and you spin in a circle and you're not moving on that pathway to progress. So that is why your goal has to be there. So for your compass to work, for your inner guide that actually knows what you're trying to do to work, you need to know very clearly what the goal is, and you need to know very specifically what the goal is. You're not looking for any ship, you're looking for the black pearl, and that is your goal. So if we're comparing the goal to that guide, you can't have that feeling of what you need to do in your business without having a really specific goal. The next thing that you need for you to actually achieve your goals is courage and commitment. So basically, if I can set a goal today, like my New Year's resolution, I can set a New Year's resolution and then 2 weeks later, I've already forgotten about it. It's the same thing with goals. So if you set a goal, you have to set a goal that you can 100% commit to for the next 3 months. Okay. If the commitment is lacking, then you might as well not set the goal in the first place because you're not going to end up working towards it. So once you've set that goal, and I'm going to tell you, like I said, how to do it in a second, but once you've got that goal set, put it somewhere in like a really prominent place where you work every day, where you look at it every day, put it as the background of your, desktop, put it as your startup screen in Chrome, like whatever the heck it is, put it so that you're regularly reminded of what your goal is. And then if you are committed to achieving that goal, the last thing you need to find is the courage to actually take action, because if we want to achieve new things and greater things in our business, we need to show up for that. And for that, we need an awful lot of courage, because it's probably going to involve getting into some uncomfortable situations that you would rather not be in. So what is really important to me is that after you've set the goal, you commit to it, and then you pluck up the courage to go and follow through on it. And the last reason why I think goals are so important is once you've got that goal set, you will see super clearly what you need to do in your business to actually achieve that goal. So when the next shiny object course launch comes across, so when that sales email hits your inbox, you can ask yourself, would buying this $10,000 program help me to achieve this goal in my business? Yes? No. So it makes it super simple to make a decision about basic actions in your business. Will wasting 3 hours on Facebook help me to sell more of my online course? No. Okay, stop doing it. So every single action you take in your business can then be aligned with either it leads you towards that goal or it keeps you away from that goal. Will taking on this client that doesn't have the budget to work with me help me to achieve my goals? No. It makes it so much easier to say no. You'll be like, hi, thanks for your inquiry. I would really love to work with you, but I have limited time and I am prioritizing working with service-based business and you're in the e-commerce space. So I would rather recommend that you go and work with so-and-so. And what all of that does is you can actually feel the energy shift when you make that commitment to the goal and you take action to it every day, because what then happens is that you actually get results that you didn't have beforehand. So I've done that plenty of times where I've turned somebody away that I didn't really think was ideally suited to working with me at that time. And then it takes a few hours and suddenly there's a booking for a discovery call from somebody else that is your ideal client. And I almost believe that that person wouldn't have shown up if you're not sending clear messages as to what it is that you want to actually achieve. Okay, so to recap, mistakes, not setting goals because you're scared that you won't achieve them. Goals that you set are not challenging or not realistic. So they're set way too high or way too low. And wishy-washy goals that are so unclear that even you don't know whether or not you've achieved it or not. Why are goals important? Your goals is your guiding light so that your compass can follow wherever that goal is. Your goal needs commitment to it and it needs courage for you to actually be able to achieve it and take action on it as well. And once you do that and you commit 100% to that goal and you start taking action towards it, things will just start falling into place right on their own. I can promise you that. So now, how on earth do we actually set goals that, are achievable and that help us to move our business forward? So there was always one of these things that really irritated me when I was in school, because every time we had to set goals, we had to be sure that they're smart goals. I was like, if I have anyone else talk to me about smart goals, I'm going to lose it. But having been in work, so back when I had a job, part of my role was to work with the children that have additional needs in daycare. So a lot of my work was to do with writing specific individual education plans for children, and the goals that are set on there have to be absolutely accurate. They would be sent to SEND panel. There'd be some high-level professionals looking at that sheet that I've written out and deciding on whether or not that child gets funding for specialist support or not. So I realized very quickly that actually having measurable goals and measurable outcomes are super, super important. So it comes back to making sure that your goal remains a SMART goal. I'll take you through that in a second. I want to start from the back. So a SMART goal stands for a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So I want to start with the time-bound aspect. So when I plan for the business, I plan for a 90-day period. I've spoken about that a few times before because the conversation just kind of went that way. Why 90 days? I find if I was to only set goals for 1 month, I would sometimes struggle to implement on all the things that needed to happen to achieve that big goal in a 3-month time period. If I planned for 6 or 12 months, I wouldn't know by the end of 12 months what my business even looked like 12 months prior to that. So 3 months to me seems a good enough period for me to have enough time to actually take action, as well as having a short enough time period to still remember where I was at the beginning of the 3-month period and where I am now in comparison, so I can review the progress that I've made in that regard. So that's why 90 days work for me. So all of my goals are time bound because I always set goals for a 90-day period. So any goals set now will be reviewed by the end of September, or just December, just before the end of December. Then we have to make sure that that one big goal that we're setting follows into all the other letters too. So specific means that your goal has to be not wishy-washy. So make money in my business is not a specific goal. How much money do you need to be making and by when? And then you need to ask yourself if that goal is actually realistic and if that goal is actually achievable for you. Okay, so if you're brand new in your business and your goal is to hit the 2 comma club in 3 months, that goal is probably not very realistic unless you have some massive support system and a banger of a product. That goal is probably also not going to be achievable. Okay, so set one big goal for the entire 90-day period. Make it specific. Make it measurable, put money amounts in it. Money amounts or people amounts are, great things that you can actually count. Then make sure that this is actually achievable and realistic considering the stage in your life that you're currently at, what you've got coming up in the next 3 months, how much support you have to actually achieve that, all of those things. So factor all of these in and ask yourself, is this goal really realistically achievable? And then obviously the goal is time bound already because it's for a 90-day period. then what I do is I take that one big goal that I've just set and I break it down into 3 areas of my business that I might need to work on to make that goal happen. So one of my goals for Q4 is that I'm starting up the consulting and strategy side of the business again. I shut that down before I had the baby because I knew that realistically I wouldn't have the time to attend hour-long appointments with people multiple times every week. Mainly because I wouldn't have enough childcare to actually make that happen. So I stopped everything I was doing in that space and I focused on my done for you clients, whether they're on retainer or one-off, but they were basically my main focus. So I want to bring that back because I want to start helping more people and, really spreading my net as wide as I can. So for that, I need to look at which 3 areas in my business do I have to be working on for me to actually make that happen. And then what I do next is I break those things that have to happen, each of those areas down into individual tasks. And I actually created a Trello board yesterday to go into our existing Trello system. And it lists the big goal. It breaks the big goal into months 1, 2, and 3. And then it breaks those 3 months into 2-week sprints. So then I basically have a 2-week period where I focus on one aspect that leads me towards my big goal. At the end of that 2-week period, I'm done with working on that aspect. I move on to the next one, and then that has to be finished by the end of that. So using a system like that is really good because particularly if you procrastinate and if you tend to change your mind an awful lot, it helps you to stay on track because you have set these sprints way in advance. So there is no debating on whether you're going to go and create a new course that you didn't want to create 2 months ago, but you just had a brilliant idea, because this isn't on your schedule right now. This isn't on your sprint. Put it on your board where you put all of your ideas and keep it there, and then come back to it maybe when the next quarter is here and ask yourself, where do you want to get to in the next quarter? And maybe that idea is going to be the thing that's going to help you to get there. Maybe it's not. Okay. So you see how I said that your goal is really your guide. It helps you to make so many decisions in your business because you just have to ask yourself, is doing this helping me get towards my goal? Yes, no. That's literally all you have to do. So once I've broken them into 2-week sprints, I then have to decide everything that I have to do in those, in those 2 weeks. So for example, I'm going to put up my personal website again that's separate from the agency. So I have 5 pages that I need to write. They have to be designed and they have to be put up. This is going to be the focus in my, postman. This is going to be the focus in my 2-week sprint. So these 2 weeks, I'm doing nothing else. I'm not working on, promoting my show. I'm not working on anything. I'm just working on getting that site up and running and getting my main site updated to reflect my, my level of client that I've chosen. And that is it. Then in the next 2-week sprint, I'm going to be focusing more again on content because I need to talk about some different topics and I need to show off what I actually know and how I can help people. So that's my next step in the next 2 weeks. So you see how every little thing I'm doing is geared towards getting that side of the business up and running again. And that is what, where I just have to make decisions. So if something else comes along, another idea, another opportunity, a course that I'm thinking I should be buying into, or whatever else goes on for us, shiny object syndrome and all of that, I just ask myself, is that going to help me to get my consulting back up? Yes? No? Then I'm thinking about, is this worth the investment that I'm going to get back out of it? Yes, no, and then I can make my decision according to that. Okay, so for anyone else that wants to know more about what happens if you don't achieve your goal and why it's okay to not achieve your goals sometimes, stay on. Anyone else? That was all the info that I had to share for today. I am going to put out our Trello system. I'm just duplicating our existing Trello system. And I think I'm going to put it out for people to actually get a copy of. And the 90-day planning board is going to be part of that Trello system. So I'll keep you posted. I'm expecting that to happen in the next couple of days or so. I have to check what my priorities are. So I reflected on Q3 and I set some super high goals for my Q3, and going back, asking myself, was the goal specific? Yes. Was it measurable? Well, for sure. Was it time bound? Yes. Was it achievable and realistic? probably not. So when I set that goal, I kind of like, I thought about, right, my business is in this place at this point in time and I want to get it there. So I'm going to set my goal as that. I didn't factor in that that would mean that I have all of the retainer clients that I'm looking after, plus 3 massive one-off projects running at the same time, bearing in mind that at this point I had 14 hours of childcare a week, about half of which was taken up with admin, existing clients, calls, and all that good stuff. So once I looked back, I was like, seriously, Jess, there was like no way under the sun that goal would have been achieved. So it should have never been set in the first place. And I just, I don't even know what I was doing, to be honest. However, I didn't actually significantly change my goal for this quarter. Why is that? Because I don't think that you need to change the goal necessarily. I think sometimes you just need to change your approach. So I had a revenue goal for the business that we didn't meet. We stayed exactly at the same level that we were at in the previous quarter, which is like, that's never happened to me. We've always been on an upwards trajectory. However, not this quarter. So the revenue goal overall has stayed the same. However, I have gone back to seriously thinking about what I actually want my business to look like, how I want to be helping people, how many people I want to be helping, how much my time is worth to me, bearing in mind that I now have my child in daycare 3 days a week and with the nanny 2 days a week. So I'm losing like 40 hours a week that I could be with my child. So I realized that I really have to prioritize what I spend my time on and how I can make the biggest impact for people. And that is why my overall goal hasn't changed. However, how I'm going to achieve that goal has changed and my focus has shifted. I do know though, and this is where the courage and the commitment comes in. I'm damn committed to this goal. However, you do need to find the courage to actually go and implement it, because that goal for me means that I have to show up personally in my business in a completely different way to how I have before. I also have to address some things that I have going on from back in the day. So I talked about it. I don't know if it was in the members club the other day, but I talked about a conversation that I had with a business friend of mine about self-worth and where our ideas of self-worth are coming from. And the bottom line is we got to the conclusion that even if your self-worth is like down in the dumps, it doesn't matter. You have people to help and you have to show up for those people, and you need to show up regardless of how you feel about yourself. And so there is things that I'm working through. I'm starting to prioritize self-care. So I'm actually taking 10 minutes every morning to listen to a meditation, which I have not done like in years. I've started writing morning pages to get all the random ideas and thoughts out of my head so I have more focus. I'm starting to address those things that happened to me in the past and how that has caused me to see myself. And then in turn, that's going to allow me to show up much better for other people. So that's basically what most of my work is going to revolve around, because my goal isn't actually, with how I've changed the approach now, my goal isn't ridiculously high. I think it's very achievable, but it's not achievable if I don't get over myself and start making myself more available to help other people, because I'm so concerned about, being stuck in myself and what I believe about myself. And that does not put you in a conducive space to go and help other people. So I'm working hard on, putting those things aside for the time that I have to focus on my work. So that's something that I'm doing. So I thought some of you might like a little behind the scenes insight. I know that loads of people have come into the group because they've said that, they appreciated my straightforward approach. So I figured to continue where I left off, which is by being straightforward. Okay, so if you are not seeing this video in the Facebook group, it's because I've chosen to put it on another platform, highly likely my YouTube channel. If you want to become a member of my group, you are more than welcome. I have recently also decided that I don't actually care for working with only female entrepreneurs or whatever not. I've kind of been in that space for very long, but there are so many more people I can help, and you're welcome, whether you're male, female, cat, dog, or whatever. So come and join us in our Facebook group. It's called Crush It with Confidence. And that's all the things that we're talking about. So we're talking about mindset, business, and marketing strategy, 3 live trainings a week. I'm aiming for roughly, plus loads of other stuff that we've got going on. So yeah, I'd be happy to see you join us. I'm going to put the link under the video. If you're in the group already, I'm not going to put the link under the video because you're already here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I've got some work to crack on with before I got to take the child to the pediatrician. Fun, fun, fun. So I'll catch you all later in the group. Bye.